It is late at night and we are off the grid. And while those two things are definitely true, I cannot vouch for the rest of the world. But here up in New England, it is late. It is after 11 o'clock. It's dark, but we had a sunny day. We had a couple of we actually had 3 rainy days in a row, which when you're off grid and completely reliant on solar power, it definitely is a challenge. But luckily, yesterday we switched over to the car, as I talked about yesterday, and we car slash our backup generator, and the car powered our house all night long, which took the load off the house. You'll actually see that as a result. Here you see our solar array on our solar shed, sort of coming into our front yard here, and that's where we plug the car in at night when we need some extra power, or during the day whenever we need to. So how did our power look today? How much energy did we use? How much energy did we make? Let's take a peek at that. So this was, let's slow this down. This was earlier today. This was 11 this morning, at 11 this morning, when we were pretty low on power. I said a few days of rain, of overcast, of not a lot of production. It's staying darker later in the morning, and it is getting darker earlier in the evening, which means during the day we're just producing less power by nature. Not only is it less actual hours of sunlight, and you could feel it, you could tell the arc of the sun is getting a little bit lower, and just so we're not getting the maximum efficiency, we're not capitalizing. So at 11 this morning, we're sitting at 24%. As you can see on the top, that green number there under the off-grid farm. And we were starting to make a good amount of power at 11 o'clock. It cleared up, and it was just satisfying to see. We dipped down to 10% today, this morning, in our power walls. But here you can see we were using 0.6, and I'll run it. But we were producing 8 in the array. Our array can produce about 11, a little over 11. So that's we'll take 8 in the fall. It's great. And here you can see what we had used, and again, this was early. This was at 11:15, and we had used 3.4 kilowatts. And the reason that we had not used a lot of power, typically by then maybe we would have used 5 or 6. I think in a previous day, by 11, even 7 kilowatts maybe. But we had powered the house with the backup generator / our Hyundai Ioniq 5 overnight, and that's why you could see the sort of flatlining up until we had the power spike of what we were using, is because we had switch the system over to the car, and it doesn't register. As far as the Tesla system knows, at that point, it's off. It's off, and something else is powering the house. So at 11, we only use 3.4. This is sort of what we had discharged from the power wall. So we had discharged 1.2 from the power wall. We had charged up, and so the rest of that would have been from the solar array, or the rest of what we had needed for that this morning. And what we charged, because we had put a charge in, so that's 6.5. We had netted 5.3 kilowatts, let's say, already at 11 o'clock, without producing too much power. And so there you can see the solar, what we produced. That's the 8.4. So that more than covered us for what we needed for the morning, and that's why we were able to put some extra juice in the bank, as they say. And last but not least, the grid. Nothing on the grid. Nothing charged, nothing energized, nothing exported, nothing used. So that's what makes us off grid. So that's it. That's sort of the summary for what we used in power for the day and what kind of day it was. You could see some puddles out there on our driveway, and the clouds, but they all cleared up, and we produced a lot of power. And we capped out at about 75%, I will say, today. But it is the first day in a while where we've had a really sunny day, and we haven't totally charged up our power walls. So that's what getting used to the fall is. Getting used to the fall is understanding we're not going to produce as much energy, and we're going to need to start switching over to the car. We're going to start looking at the power a little bit more tediously, more carefully. We're going to start monitoring the weather and even monitoring the radars a little bit more to see the cloud cover and the precipitation coming through. It's a tricky word, precipitation. And so we're just going to be a little bit more astute and attentive to some of those details. And that's living off the grid, difference between summertime of energy abundance, pretty much, and wintertime, where we need to supplement our system and we need to be mindful of our system in different ways. And so that's how much energy do we use today. And I think that's a pretty fair summary, and I think we feel pretty good about it. We still haven't gone into full heat mode. That's the other thing. When we run our heat is probably our biggest power draw of an appliance. And when we run the heat, it runs about 5 kilowatts on top of anything else. And so that's something to be mindful for, because if our system is only 40 kilowatts and our heat runs 5, in theory, that's 8 hours of straight just running the heat. Of course, when you set your temperature to 66 or 68 or whatever it is, you reach that at a certain point and the heat's not running. But it's just good to keep in mind those high energy appliances and off-grid living, need to have a different conversation. And so when we go through the winter, we really rely on our wood-burning fireplace. And that is awesome for us. We live out in the woods. We've got plenty of wood, and that keeps us nice and toasty. So, moving on to what made me happy. A lot of things made me happy today. There's the regular things, family, and just kind of waking up. Waking up made me happy today. But I thought that this was pretty nifty. Let me see if I could pull it up on the old screen here. What do I have to remove to? There we go. And let's see if I could pull that up. And look at that. We've got a giant musical instrument. This is pretty cool. This building is a giant musical instrument. This comes from Travel Book, Germany's largest online travel magazine, travelbookmagazine.com. And this happened to catch my eye for a lot of reasons. The color, the architecture was neat. I love culture in different places, but the fact that a building could be a giant musical instrument just is delightful. I mean, really, I wish I could hear this and get a sound. I should look this up. I should have done this before I jumped on the stream, but I should have looked this up. So this is I'm not going to be able to pronounce any of this German. Dresden I can pronounce. In the Kunststoff Passage in Dresden, this unique sound sculpture stands in the courtyard of Elements. When it rains, it creates music. That's pretty cool. Pretty darn cool. For over 25 years, the Kunststoff Passage in Dresden has been one of the most unusual attractions in Saxon capital. One building in the so-called courtyard of Elements, awesome name, is particularly fascinating. When it rains, an artwork of pipes and funnels mounted on the facade creates a unique music. Travel Book spoke with the artist Annette Paul, who created the work, with 2 colleagues about its significance. I don't know if we need to read the whole thing, but let's see. The Kunsthof Passagen in Dresden is arguably one of the most unusual attractions. Opened in 1999. It was a while ago. It looks super cool. Looks super cutting edge still. The 5 courtyards with different themes and attractions delight countless visitors each year. Among them is a very special artwork that spans an entire wall in the so-called courtyard of Elements. At first glance, it's just an installation of pipes and funnels. Kind of does look like, downspouts for some kind of moving water away, which I guess it is. Reminiscent of Hudenwasser's work. Hudenwasser is one of my favorite architects. Designers, creative minds. But when it rains, the creation designed by 3 artists reveals its special magic. The raindrops create a kind of music. The Kunststoff Passage in Dresden was created according to the official website to revitalize the then rundown backyards of Dresden's Neustadt. Artists were invited to redesign the once dreary places. Each courtyard takes on its own theme and showcases in it its facade design. Since then, the 5 backyards have not only been uniquely enhanced, but also bear imaginative names. There's the courtyard of mythical creatures, the courtyard of light, the courtyard of animals, and the courtyard of metamorphosis. Perhaps the biggest draw, however, is the bizarre sound installation in the courtyard of Elements. That is cool. That's really, really cool. Let's see. Produces a unique sound when it rains. Let's see. It's open. Oh, it's open weekdays. If anybody's there, if anybody's in Dresden, the Kunststoffpassagen opens weekdays at 6 a.m. On weekends, they're accessible from 8 a.m. through 11 p.m. That's a lot of hours to just be able to walk through. I guess it's just like a, well, it's courtyards though. A beautiful place for a walk and to pass the time. I would almost take a trip to Dresden just to see this place with the balconies. Imagine living there. I mean, how would that be? Would that get a little annoying? Would that be like, the annoying neighbor that, can play music, but when it plays every day, I don't know. I guess if it was live music, it was good music. I don't know if I'd get sick of it. If it's when it rains. I mean, how often does it rain in Dresden? Somebody could fill me in on that. How often does it rain in Dresden? Probably not. No, probably similar to what it does here. Maybe. No idea. I actually have no idea. But anyway, I didn't even put my sting up. That's what made me happy. I still had how much energy did we use up? Well, now we know. Now it's got the right tag, got the right banner. This made me happy. Creative, musical, colorful, unexpected, joyful, engaging. I could go on. The list could go on and on and on. This is super cool. Congratulations to, who are the designers of this again? It said it down here. It said it. 3 artists, Annette Paul, Christopher Robner, and Andre Temple created it. Let's see. She takes the time to explain the significance. They realized their own installation during the redesign. What's special about it, the rain flows from the roof into the pipes, and from there, like a water feature, into the next pipes or funnels, making sounds along the way. It's really a kind of music. No melody is played, but depending on the weather, the existing sound is amplified and directed. Splashing, dripping, rushing, swelling, subsiding, flowing, splattering, spraying. Yeah, that's cool. I subscribe to this creativity. That's super cool. Well, going on to that, we got food for thought. And food for thought, really my initial food for thought was the good, almighty, happy donut. I am a big fan of donut. I have a really, really extraordinary donut place right around the corner from me, right by my studio, just like a 2-minute walk from my studio. We have a couple of good pastry places. I am very, very fortunate. There is good tea. I'm a tea drinker. I have my own, I make my own tea, tends to in my studio, but we have some great tea in coffee shops, and we've got some great pastries and donuts. But anyway, it got me just thinking about donuts and everything, food for thought. And why I bring this up, this is going to be a two-pronged conversation here. And the first prong of that conversation is going to be just about donuts. So I think it's just kind of worth going through a little bit of a history. Donut is a type of pastry made from leavened fried dough, as you could see there. That's the glazed version. We got Dunkin' up by us, but we got some other really great donut places, and there's a real homemade specialty one right by me. It's popular in many countries. I think that's kind of cool, is that this tasty treat, this sweet treat, a lot of people were excited about developing this right around the same time. So either the aliens brought it here on one of the intergalactic objects. Maybe it was Zero Eye Atlas. So either the aliens brought it here, or just everybody had these great ideas at the same time. Usually deep fried from flour dough, but other types of batter can be used. various toppings. That's definitely true. There's one with bacon on it that I think is just delicious that place around me makes. Two most common types are the ring donut and the filled donut. Tough choice there. Filled donut, Boston cream, jelly donut. There's really hazelnut filled donut. There's a lot of options there. Let's see here. Once fried, the donuts may be glazed with sugar, icing. Yeah, we know all that history. Recipe for the deep fried donut ball was recorded by Cato the Elder in his De Agricultura. That sounds super fancy for making donuts. Using cheese, honey, and poppy seeds. It's not really a donut. It's not really. Similar types of fry. That's a recipe for a deep fried dough ball. I don't know. 13th century Arabic cookbook written by Ibn Razin al-Tujibi, pardon the pronunciation, contains a recipe for a donut-like variant of sfenj, made by frying leavened semolina dough, the dough that is meant to be shaped into a small ball. The recipe also calls for shaping the dough into a ka'ak, with a hole in the middle, testing its proofing. This is done before frying the first batch and results in the shape reminiscent of a modern donut. I could buy that as more of a modern donut. 13th century, was it 1200? So that's 725 odd years ago. Yeah, I could buy that. It's an old pastry. Cookbook published in Nuremberg. Oh, we were just talking about Germany. 1485. Well, I guess that would be. Is that France? Where's Nuremberg? Why don't I know my Nuremberg's France? Pennsylvania. That says Pennsylvania. Germany. All right. I don't know. I got confused. Pardon my geographic confusion. A lot of names to juggle here. And then there's the Spanish and Portuguese churro. I didn't think about the churro. So it's like a fried dough that would be served in a ring shape. That's really, the churros I have seen have been like stick shaped. And the Dutch settlers brought the oily koek to New York or New Amsterdam in the early 18th century. These donuts closely resembled later ones, but did not yet have their current ring shape. I mean, I feel like the ring shape is pretty important. A recipe for fried dough nuts was published in 1750 under the title How to Make Hertfordshire Cakes, Nuts, and Pincushions, in the Country Housewife's Family's Companion by William Ellis. So I guess in the 1700s, 1800s, that when it got formalized, what's this? The Salvation Army gets it to the boys in the trenches over there. Hand it to them. Is that a donut? World War I propaganda poster, which made donuts for soldiers. So, I guess it just kind of came from a bunch of places where frying sweetbreads in a ball, and then slowly but surely it began to take the donut shape because the donut shape is awesome. So that makes sense. And why is my donut my food for thought today? That is also a great question, because I do not know what is going on in this country sometimes. Again, I live in New England. And the fact that we live in New England and having the name England in our overall greater context of geography, means that I feel like we've got a pretty direct relationship with removing ourselves from the rule of the last king that lived here. And it is feeling more and more like we're coming under, a very authoritarian, autocratic, aristocratic, you name it kind of thing. And the reason I say that is because one of my fun little ridiculous pleasures here in life is to, every once in a while, it pops up on my YouTube shorts, is I see ROBBIE ROADSTEAMER. And he's just a funny guy. I imagine he's actually maybe has some musical talent. I don't know. I've never actually heard the guy play real music, but he's a protester. He's very much in the mold of like a Vietnam protester and a peaceful protester. and brings joy in a very unusual and particular and creative way. And so I've always gotten a chuckle out of it. Now, do I always agree, or would I always do the things that he does? No. But do I really appreciate what it means for free speech and what it means for humor and bringing people together? And there's just times he'll go all over. He's gone all over the country, DC and Boston, and he brings his costumes. This one, he's in a giraffe costume. He's got an alligator costume, got Gary the Guantanamo Gator, and he parodies songs, and he brings to light the important topics like, I don't know, release the Epstein files or something along those lines, that maybe we shouldn't be, detaining, unlawfully detaining, citizens off the street based on the color of their skin or the language they're speaking. But he incorporates that into peaceful protesting. So I always got a kick out of this. And then today I saw Gary get detained. And I don't know if detained is really the word for it. I mean, I think he got accosted.
It's about peace and love. It's about rock and roll in spite of heights.
He's a goofball.
If you hate brown people and you are a Nazi, come on, ice, leave Portland.
And he's a
why don't you come out with your super soaker?
And can I mention too?
Oh, here they come. They're not ready.
He is well behind the line. There is a blue line there that everybody is respecting. And I mean, look at what we're dealing with. I mean, if this is a war-torn city right here, if this country represents the worst in the whole world, if there isn't a street corner the entire world that's worse than Portland right now, and this is right in front of the ice facility. So this is the epicenter of all of the chaos, and this is the ringleader they're looking for to come. Now watch this. Just watch this.
For prime-time players. Woo! Demolition.
Leave him alone. What are you doing? He's talking?
That's real.
He's just talking.
No.
This is real. This is not AI generated. This is not some far-flung country. This is not North Korea. This is not Russia. This is Portland, Oregon. These are soldiers. He would have moved. I've watched tons of Robbie ROADSTEAMER videos. He would have moved. He would have shared his water or his sandwich with you. This is a nice guy. I mean, I don't know him personally. Again, I just know him from the glimpses that I see just randomly pop into my feed. But this isn't the guy you need to accost. And clear, look, this is Texas. They're from Texas. So they're up in Portland, but his patch really looks like a Texas patch. I'm just saying, I'm just seeing that now. And like face is covered. I mean, look, at least with the police, the Department of Homeland Security, there's a couple guys in the back there. I mean, you could tell how ridiculous they think this is. You could tell how overzealous and how unnecessary. I mean, they're so unimpressed with the manhandling of Robbie ROADSTEAMER, a man singing just kind of, I would say, joyful songs. They're protest songs, but just singing in protest, peaceful protest in a giraffe costume. A lot of people saw this. I know he's raising money for his GoFundMe page. He's going to need an attorney. They're going to they're going to get him trespassed, and they're going to press whatever charges, whatever. I mean, if this is the leader of Antifa, then I don't know. Then we've very much lost our way. So he is just somebody who practices his First Amendment. He's somebody who brings light to the darkness, and he's somebody who stands up for people when they can't stand up for themselves, frankly. And he does it in a way where he tries to bring us together. And even when he's protesting in front of the police, the Homeland Security, Border Patrol, National Guard, whoever these jamokes are right here, I can almost see the name. You could almost see the name on the back of his helmet, on the back of their helmets. If I wanted to be more, to be a little bit more investigatorial, I would zoom in on that. But I know nobody's really watching this right now, but I hope people realize how just utterly just disappointing, just laughable, just farcical, just destructive, chaotic. This is causing chaos. This is trying to sow chaos. Look at what they're doing to this guy. Just literally grabbing him off the street. That is accosting and disappearing a peaceful protester dressed in a giraffe costume off the street. And that is wrong.
No.
That should be wrong in our country, and there should be accountability in our country for that. Portland is not under siege. Portland is sieging the people, and that is wrong. And it's hard to stand for that. And so that's why I just wanted to, make sure I got this out there, because I don't know this guy from a hole in the wall, but nobody deserves to be treated like that when they're peacefully protesting. And it is a shame. And all of the federal and local officers standing around know it. And these National Guard troops that it looks like they are from Texas, they ought to be ashamed of themselves, and they should be held accountable. And they better be in damn good shape, because if these guys aren't in absolutely fantastic shape, they better drop down and give me 20 right now. In fact, I would argue that I might be able to give 20 faster than these guys would. I mean, it's hard to tell. It's hard, do they meet? Have they met the weight standards? Is that why they are on the front lines here of battling Robbie ROADSTEAMER? This just makes me literally a shark, an inflatable shark dancing around. And the guys in the back there, you could see they're nicer about this. There's the guys really dressed in blue. And I'm just going to back it up one more time. This just makes me so frustrated. So the guys in the back here are just like, hey, look, there's a line. What does it say? Government property. Blue line says government property. Doesn't it really feel like everybody is well behind there? Doesn't it really feel like the giraffe and the rainbow peacock? It looks like there's maybe like a dinosaur or something back there. We saw a shark. Everybody's behind the blue line, except these thugs. Again, from Texas. It says police. They're not police. I don't think they drove police officers from Texas to patrol the streets, the mean streets of Portland, Oregon, from the attack of the rainbow rooster there, and Gary the giraffe. I don't know.
What are you doing? He's talking.
Let's just stand up for each other. Keep being good to each other. Keep spreading the joy out there. Yeah. Robbie's going to be out. Robbie the ROADSTEAMER's going to be out, and he's going to be doing his protests again. And we got his back, and we're going to keep sharing stories like this. I'm going to keep sharing stories like this, because we can't go on. We're not going to go on like this. We're going to keep standing up for good things. We're going to keep standing up for each other. And the way to do it is to joyfully do it, is to come together. We've got opportunities to do that. Check on each other. Check on your neighbors. Make sure everybody is feeling connected and okay, and just keep taking one step at a time, because at the end of the day, we're going to get back to donuts. I know it. We're going to get back to donuts, even though this do not make any sense. Everybody's got to hang in there. That's my food for thought. That's how much power we made today. That's what made me happy. This was my food for thought. And thanks to anybody for watching this. It's we'll get through it one step at a time. Some will come out tomorrow. Hope everybody's got enough power for your day, inside and out. This is Late Night and Off Grid. I'm Jonathan the Painter. Catch you later.